starting your business and not sweating on the small stuff. We're going to take you back to 2002 when I was the ripe old age of 23 and starting the business, and talk about the ebbs, flows, and lessons that we learned in business. Stay tuned. So listen up.
Gosh, 23 when Mark started Novak Properties. We're not going to go into the whole story about how it all happened. We have told it before, but why this is so fresh in our mind is we were out at dinner last night with the amazing Josh and Soph Tessalon. We went out for dinner.
Power duo.
Yeah, we had a beautiful night, actually. We went to Mr. Wong's. Never disappoints, does it?
Mate,
I tell you what, at Justin Hem's restaurant, it just never disappoints.
What a guy! It's definitely a property play, though. That he's clever in so many ways. So, the properties that he owns there and the business that he runs are just wow.
Yeah, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal food.
He was young when he started.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but there was certainly no shortage of conversation. That's for sure. And
before we went to dinner, I was on the phone to a gentleman, Tate Brownlee, another legend. I think he's in the Tweed Coast. Jogging him through our business and his business, and it's pretty interesting. It's all the same trials and tribulations in it that we all have.
Trials and tribulations, yeah, lots of them. So, and we were just having a chat really about Novak and how it all started. But 23, Mark, I have to just draw back to what it is to be 23. We have a daughter who's 25, and I cannot imagine. And she's a super smart girl. She works in advertising, but I just can't imagine her running her own business, managing people, looking after all of those responsibilities that come along with running your own business. So this morning, guys, we're just going to share with you some of the trials and tribulations we've gone through in our business when at the grand old age of 23, we were just little kids.
Can I give someone advice that's thinking about starting their business? The most powerful thing about starting your business is what you don't know.
Yes, isn't it?
Because when you're 20 to 30...
yeah,
you don't know so much.
The unknown.
And that unknown makes you so much more courageous. It makes you so much more fresher and ready to go.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good thing. So if you're ever doubting yourself, and this also goes for salespeople in the business, because it's like a business within a business.
Yeah.
It goes for all different businesses. I think you can beat yourself up going, well, I don't have a degree. Winding it back to real estate, most of us real estate owners were naughty schoolboys with no degrees, and that dumbness or freshness or youth, or I don't know what you want to call it, the lack of it's quite powerful. You can harness that and channel that.
Yep. You've got this grunt. I've just seen Ann Molster just tuned in. We haven't seen you in ages.
Hey.
Now, here's some great business owners, and I'd love to hear your comments, Ann Mol. I know that you and your hubby, started your real estate business as well. So, guys, for those of you that have tuned in this morning, we are talking about the trials and tribulations of when we started Novak at the very ripe age of 23. You're fearless, Mark.
No regrets.
You are absolutely fearless, aren't you?
Who, me?
No, when you're starting a business at 23, Mark's not listening. You can see he's multitasking. He's not listening.
Running the comments.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I'm fearless. Fearless.
When we started the business
People
at 23.
People are fearless when they start business. And that's because they don't know. And that, again, going back to that lack of knowledge is actually power. It's power.
Yep, definitely is. There's, let me ask you this, Mark. Are there things that you would have done then at 23 that you wouldn't have done now?
I often thought about the sheer amount of work that I couldn't help to think that I was going to regret, because that's the way society's programmed. So working those hours, the first 13 years was 7 days a week. and you got kids, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, is it going to be?
We had kiddies young.
I had them young, and it was
Yeah.
like, are we going to be dropping the ball with the kids? And there's always that regret. Sorry, not regret. There was that concept of regret that I was always like, shit. I hope
The guilt.
the guilt, and it was always like, I hope this is going to work. I hope this is going to work. But I think that, but I knew that you were with the kids when they were particularly young, and like really young, and I was like, nah, Lisa's got that covered. I just got, I got to pull my shit on this end.
Well, that was exactly how we ran, guys. So Mark would work 7 days a week when the business opened, and Mark was 23, and I was at home with a little baby. But we just juggled it, and I was always very, very understanding.
Yeah,
this is a big thing.
This is a big one.
Because I had someone contact me the other day, and they said to me, oh, me and my partner have just broken up because my partner didn't like the fact that I was at work 7 days a week, and working really, really long hours. And, they said, what, did you ever have these issues? And my answer to them was, I was always extremely understanding that Mark had to work. I mean, that's how I met Mark. I met Mark when he was working 7 days a week. And I always knew that, Monday nights were going to be late nights. Sundays I would be spending them on my own. Again, we had a little child. So, I knew that you wouldn't finish up work until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was just how it was. And I think, and I'm sure, Ann Mol, you'll agree with me, as a partner, you've got to be understanding. You've got to realise that that's just kind of how it is if you want to, run and build a successful business.
And I think the goals were centralised. So I did that part there.
Yeah, well said.
You did that part there, and all those goals converged and came together. So it was always like the cause were doing it for the cause. And I remember when we were really, really early on in the business, purchased a family home, and it was like, this is just the dumbest thing to do, because the P&Ls weren't there to buy a home. Technically, we shouldn't be buying it, but then again, the goals were centralised. So we knew that the family needed a family home, especially when this Jade was coming along, our second one, and it was like, had to be done, got to be done, centralised goals.
Yeah. But also, working hard, and then I guess rewarding ourselves with things like that. We weren't rewarding ourselves with silly things. It was like, well, we're a hardworking family. Of course, we need a nice family home.
Yeah.
And so, working hard for that.
Nice. We just need bigger.
Nothing bigger. That's right. Nothing drives you harder than when you've got a whole lot of debt, and you've got mortgages to pay, and you've got wages to pay, and you've got rent to pay. Nothing's going to get you out of bed quicker.
Yeah.
So, and we had a lot of that at a very, very, very young age.
And I think a wandering mind is dangerous. And I think that even...
I'm always saying that.
And what is they saying? Idle mind is the devil's playground. I think that we were always busy. And you think, this is shit that I'm so busy. But the beauty in that, in your own business, is that you're just so focused. You can't wander. Do you know what I mean? It's like head down, bum up, go. And I was talking to another mate yesterday, and I was just saying, mate, it's great. You just chew. I remember Norm Evangelita's a family friend when I started the business. This is probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that's echoed in my mind. Norm said, I said, Norm, and Norm was pretty successful, like great family, healthy. He had ice cream trucks, and but then he was a big property advocate, property owner, investor. And I said, Norm, give me one piece of advice, thinking the lightning bolt was going to come down. And he said, Mark, just answer your phone. And I was like, what a dumb piece of advice. What?
But it's true.
And he said, just answer your phone. That's all you've got to do. And it was literally that advice of just put one foot in front of the other advice. And it's always rung in the hardest of
Yeah.
times. For some reason, it resonated with me that in particular. He was like, what, just answer the phone. And I was always like, at times, like, and it's like, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep answering the phone.
And you don't realise at the time
not always like that.
Well, you don't realise at the time that the really hard times, and again, guys, we're talking this morning about what we've learnt starting our business when Mark was just 23. Young, so young. And I remember when we were opening the business, Mark.
Lisa was 18.
I was a little bit older. But I remember when we did open the business and I had said to you, because Mark had come out of being the top New South Wales salesperson for the professionals group at the time. It was
Australia.
Big writing agent. And I remember saying to Mark at the time when we had this concept that we were going to open up the business, you've run a business before? No. Managed people before? No. Know anything about rentals? No. Awesome. Okay, let's go open a business then. That was basically the crux of it. And we were flying by the seat of our pants. We really were. But you have no fear when you're younger. I feel like in many respects you gain it as you get older.
Yeah, your balls shrink by 50% every 10 years. Every 10 years
that doesn't apply to us girls.
50%. Sorry, fellas.
Yeah. So, but I'll tell you what it has done. And this is for any of you guys out there that are in business. And listen, we still go through all the trials and tribulations. Trust me, you do get better at dealing with them because you become more resilient. And I remember when I came into the business,
resilience is a beautiful word.
After the kids had, we're losing our lights. After the kids had, grown up a little bit and I'd sort of, gotten them through a lot of their younger years, and I started transitioning more into the business. And I would really take things to heart. Someone would leave and I would literally be just, how could they go? We're such good people. It's such a good business. I couldn't believe it. I used to be devastated. But as the years go on, you do get more resilient. You really do. And I would have to say that, number one, and number two,
hard work.
Yeah, it's just, it literally is just hard work.
Yeah.
And then you somehow get a little bit better at working out the balance as the years go by as well. I mean, you were working 7 days a week, Mark.
Oh, make no mistake, you're never centered. And that's just a dream that never happens. You're never like perfectly centered between work and life or family and business and good and bad. You're never like dead center and just sit there. You're always like, whoa, shit, I'm working too much. And it's like, we haven't taken a break in a long time. Like, whoa, I'm taking a holiday. Then when you're on a holiday, you're like, oh my God, the business is going terrible in your mind. Business is going terrible. Whoa, back to doubling down, going 14, 16 hours a day, and
and some things that we did just to better manage that, so that there wasn't these, that kind of ebb and flow, I guess. Well, it's probably not the right word, but those extremities. What we started to do was we started saying, okay, why don't we, if we had an auction diarised, we were never going to miss that. If we had a birthday diarised, we were never going to miss that. So we just have to start diarising the things in our life that are really important to us so that we do never miss it. Because we'd get through a whole week of work and just go, this is not right. We haven't sat down with our kids and had a dinner at the dinner table, and it's Sunday. So we started diarising it in. This works for us, guys. We started diarising it in. So we were like, all right, not negotiable. Tuesdays and Fridays, we will be at home and we will sit around a table with our family.
On our mobile phones. No, just joking.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't do that.
Just joking.
But we're also mindful that our kids now are adult children, 17 and 25, and they love to hang out with us, and they actually look forward to the Tuesdays and the Fridays. But they also don't want to sit around a table with mum and dad for 5 hours because they've got boyfriends and, things to do. So we go, we just want you guys for 2 hours. Tuesdays, Fridays, you can bring your boyfriends if you like. We just want you guys for 2 hours without phones. And they, and it works well for us. It works well for us.
And then also we did, when the kids were really young, we did a lot of just us on holidays.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit selfish, but I think as a couple,
got to do it.
Yeah, I think as a couple to recenter, that was always really nice. So we did some really good trips overseas, only 2 weeks. Grandma's kicked in and looked after the girls, and I think they were critical in times where, because there was that separation, like anxiety that you had from me,
and continue to.
Yeah.
But it's as I said, we've learned a lot along the way. You get better at managing things. You do. Listening just to some of our friends just chatting about some of the trials and tribulations they have in their businesses. They're all very, very similar, but you do become more resilient, and you do just get better at managing stuff. As I said, you really do.
Stanko says, keep up good work. Živala Serbia. He's in Serbia.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, moved there when we were young.
Wow.
Actually want to start the business.
Great part of the world. Fabulous part of the world. All right, what else have we learnt, Mark? Systems, strategies. You get, I think you're a little bit crazy. No, you're a bit crazier when you're younger.
Oh, I got a good one. Friends. I think having those friends. Do you know what, friends? It's really interesting with friends because those guys. Hard to say this, but I'll say it. Friends, you attract your friends, and they are attracted. You're attracted to them, and they're attracted to you, often for what they represent. And I found, like, I had Ed and Damien, and we decided that we would sit down for breakfast at 7 o'clock every Friday, non-negotiable. So that really, and it was like Ed was like a retired stockbroker. Damien was a retailer, hardworking retailer with a lot of stores in clothing. And for me, that was really cool because it brought that normality back to, we wasn't just talking business, working business. I could download on those guys on my week and upload what they had to say. That really helped me through. So what I really, really feel strongly about is the people that you surround yourself with. And I think that they've got to have, there's got to be a value proposition on both sides that you offer them and they offer you. And boy, do they help. And they all do a different piece of your life. But, good buddies around you.
Couldn't have said it well. Couldn't have said it better.
Thank you to my
buddies.
Honestly,
could not have said it better. And also, we don't sit around talking business with our friends either. At the end of the day, you just, sometimes we do. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and also we have different friends from all walks of life. Some of them aren't in businesses. Some of them don't work anymore. Some, do work, but part-time. I've got some girlfriends that have never worked and have just spent their lives just raising children. One of my best girlfriends has got 5 kids. Who's got time for a career? But she always looks at me and says, oh my God, like, I just idolize you. I love what you do. I love that you've got this, this phenomenal career. And then, and I look at her and think, wow, how amazing that you've spent your whole 50 years at home looking after all of those beautiful children. And then I've got my other best girlfriend who does run a business and has no children, and, great conversations there with, with all of them. As Mark said, everyone has something to bring to the table. But would we change a single thing? If you could rewind, Mark, back to 23 and take back the #1 agent in Australia for the professionals, would you swap it out for what you've done in terms of opening a business?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd go back to that.
It was good. It was like that was forced. That decision to start our own business was forced on us. And I remember having a discussion 2 weeks prior to that. You were going, oh, why don't you start your own business? I'm going, are you crazy? I have to worry, all the benefits. And you're like, yeah, fair enough, But then 2 weeks later, like, it was forced. I was terminated.
Mark was terminated. #1 agent in the country for the professionals group.
Yeah.
And he got
Out of
fired.
700 salespeople, #1 in dollar value and sales volume.
That's how it actually all started.
That's how it all started.
You got fired, and FYI, Mark was really, really good friends with his boss at the time.
Yeah.
And they had a fallout, and Mark got fired, and so
Yeah.
opening the business was kind of forced upon him. It was like, well, we'll just open our own business. So easy.
It was
easy.
It was juicy, but I think, look, the make no mistake, your own. I think whether you have your own ABN or whether you're working under someone else's ABN, I think it's always your own business. Do you know what I mean? A lot of our friends have great careers.
If you're devoted to the cause.
Well, yeah, that's your own business. So I think whether you're working for AMP, and I think also people with their own business, it's always been the particularly successful people. It's always been a property play. So it's always been about, like, the true wealth has been earned by property ownership and property investment from most part of people that I know. So I think that, whether you're running your own ABN, your own business, or whether you're working under someone else's ABN and business, it's still your own business if you take it to heart, and you can still get those fruits and that beauty out of that grit and that hard work that we've spoken about, and keep making it a property play. Keep investing. That's the main thing.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't change a single thing, that's for sure. It's been quite the ride, but there's not a single thing that I would change, not a single thing. And boy, we've learned a lot along the way. We really have. And the nice thing is we didn't lose any friends along the way either. Sometimes in business that can happen. Our friends have always been extremely understanding, and family. Have been extremely understanding that we just work ridiculous hours.
Our parents have been good.
Phenomenal. Our mums are incredible.
Like our dads.
Our dads were around for the first part of it. Actually, it was my dad's birthday.
Today.
Today's my dad's
birthday,
birthday.
Pete. Yeah. Beautiful man.
He was a beautiful man.
But I think your parents were quite entrepreneurial. My mum was quite sort of go getter.
Hard worker.
Dad was really conservative, but we couldn't. I must admit, with them, even if they didn't agree, they supported. The weirdest thing, they told us what they thought, but I know Dad was really conservative about.
Oh, they've never gotten involved.
No,
never. Always been super supportive and never ever gotten involved.
It was more like, you sure? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Rather than, no,
they've been scared for us at times.
Yeah.
When we've gone and done, we bought a property. They're like, yeah, awesome. They've been scared for us at times. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Especially when we went and bought a beautiful big family home, and we were 26 or something. We were like, so young.
I think probably the most stupid things was turning up with
some stupid things.
This is 20 years ago, turning up with a $260,000 car after I'd been in business for 9 months. And it was
He was trying to impress me.
It was a 7 Series, big, long, black 7 Series. That was 20 years ago. It's like $1 million today, property prices. But at the time, I was in this sales career, working, in the professionals, and it was like, you know what? Haven't really done. I've been working like nuts, and I'm like, this is the one thing I want to do because I love cars. And when I ordered the car at the car show with Lise and Shani, I was like, yeah, all good, let's do this. And then little did I know that the car had a 1 year wait. Little did I know that in that year I was going to be terminated from employment and starting a business. With
zero money, and then trying to work out how we were going to open an office with absolutely no money. So, they're the fun times. I mean, you look back now, you have a laugh. It definitely wasn't funny at the time.
No, it wasn't funny at all, because I remember...
It was not funny at the time.
I rang my accountant, still my accountant today, and I said, Rich, what do I do about the car? He said, get rid of it. Ring him and ask him how much to get rid of it. And I ring the dealership. I said, how much to get rid of it? They said, we're going to take 10%. So 25 grand's like 100 grand today, because property prices doubled twice if you look at inflation, blah, blah, blah. And I go, Lise, what do you reckon? And accountant's like, well, I don't reckon you should lose that much money. So he said, accountant said, go and talk to the car dealership and see how long they can keep it for. So then I rang the car dealership and they said 6 months we can keep it for. So I remember driving home every night.
We had to drive past the dealership.
I'd get out like a 23-year-old. I'd get out across the road, 6 lanes of traffic, and I'd stand and I'd look at the 7 Series from the outside window because it was there.
God,
and I'd go to the back of it,
so
and I'd go to
true.
the front of it, and then I'd tell my mate Pete. I couldn't tell anyone else, but I'd tell Pete, that black car that's in that's mine. And then
I just can't afford to pick it up.
They waited 9 months.
No, they were legends.
They kept it on the floor for 9 months, and then one day I said to the accountant, look, I've got to dump it or take it. We took it. I paid for it. Done. Next story.
Oh, so
Stupid
funny.
Stuff. Stupid stuff.
But Brendan, I couldn't agree with you more. Running your own business, it is a tough gig. And in all honesty, to all the business owners out there, guys, hats off to you. Hats off to you. We know the trials and tribulations that you go through. No one is immune. No one is immune. And I agree, Brendan. Yes, absolutely. All the business owners and everyone who works hard, you deserve all the success that you get. I could not agree more. That's been a really long show. I just want to make mention, guys, tomorrow we have a beautiful big auction, 8 Farnell Street down on Curl Beachfront. You have seen this all over our social media. And next Friday, we've got a very special show because I have 4 amazing women. I did an auction a couple of months back for some girls and guys to come and spend a day with me. That's happening next Friday. So stay tuned because we're going to get those girls. They don't know it yet, but we're going to get them on our lives first thing in the morning next Friday.
Bye.
See you guys.